Hi everyone, good afternoon. It's me DB Rayamazi from BBC Global Education, Butwal, Milanchok. I am an English language and Ielts instructor. Today in this video, I am going to talk about Ielts speaking test. Ielts speaking is one of the most important components of the overall Ielts examination. Ielts speaking test lasts for 11 to 14 minutes. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about speaking part 1. A lot of students report me that they feel a kind of hesitation or nervousness to express their answers or to express their ideas when answering the questions. It's really very difficult for them to maintain their fluency. Dear students, let me tell you something about what Ielts is and what English language is. Actually, Ielts does not help students improve their English proficiency, but English can help students get better scores in Ielts. Therefore, I want you to focus on improving your English proficiency, because simply taking Ielts lessons or Ielts classes at a consultancy, you cannot be competent in English language proficiency. You cannot get your desired score in Ielts speaking test. You need a lot of time investment. You need a lot of practice of speaking English through different platforms. So today, let me tell you something about Ielts speaking part 1. Ielts speaking tests actually assess your ability to speak your English language. So part 1, Ielts speaking part 1 lasts for 4 to 5 minutes, right? So this is the introduction part of the Ielts speaking test. First of all, the examiner will introduce. For example, hello, this is DB Rayamazi. I am your examiner. Can you please tell me your name? The examiner will ask your name first, and you can tell your name. My name is Rajkumar Thapa. You can call me Raj. This is my first name. Then the examiner will ask you the place where you come from. Like, where do you come from? You can say, I come from Kathmandu, which is the capital city of Nepal. It's a valley surrounded by the green hills, for example. And similarly, the examiner will check your identification, and then the examiner will pick any two topics from the very common topics. There can be hundreds of different common topics that the examiner can pick from. For example, daily life, hobbies, house or apartment, favorite restaurant, a place to visit, English language, your neighbors. Any topic the examiner can pick and ask you few questions. Let's suppose hobbies. The examiner can ask you some questions about hobbies. Do you have any hobbies? And you have to answer as fluently as possible. Yeah, I do. I have multiple hobbies. I love listening to music. Listening to music is my passion. I can spend good time by listening a variety of music. I also have another hobby, that's cooking. I'm quite fond of cooking different types of cuisines at home. I love eating different types of food. This way you can say your answer. And the examiner is free to pick any of the topics that he wants from the list of So many common topics as I mentioned here. Now, let me tell you something that you need to take into consideration when you prepare IELTS speaking test in part 1, part 2 and part 3. But in this video, I'm focusing on part 1. But in the overall speaking test, IELTS speaking test, you have to take into consideration the following aspects. These aspects are very important on the basis of which the examiner assess your language proficiency. The first one is fluency. Second one is pronunciation. Third one is grammar and vocabulary. Let me tell you something how these aspects are important in IELTS speaking test. Fluency is something, it's related with the flow of a speech. In a very simple term, you can say fluency means non-stop flow of a speech. There should not be any pauses between the lines that you speak. For example, okay, examiner tells you, tell me something about your hometown. If you say, the name of my hometown is Butwal, it's situated in western part of Nepal. It's beautiful. So if you take these kinds of long gaps while responding the question, the examiner does not like. Okay? The examiner wants you to maintain good fluency. For example, the name of my hometown is Butwal, that lies in the western part of Nepal. Butwal is a historical city where you can explore a lot of exciting sites. There are good temples, parks, monuments, where you can visit and get the utmost pleasure. Similarly, Butwal is also a trade center or a business hub where hundreds of people from the neighboring districts come to buy a lot of things that they need for their homes. So this is how you need to maintain your fluency. There should be the spontaneous flow of a speech when you respond to the questions. So pronunciation is another aspect which the examiner looks for. If it is possible for you to follow British pronunciation, BBC pronunciation, it's fantastic. You can go for that. But I don't think it's always possible for all students to maintain British pronunciation, American pronunciation, Canadian pronunciation, Australian pronunciation. Therefore, it's okay. You can use your neutral pronunciation, any type of pronunciation that you already have. It's accepted or it's acceptable. But make sure that you maintain good fluency, right? And next one is grammar. This is really important, grammar and accuracy. This means whether the sentences you speak are grammatically correct or not. There are several places, several times when our students are likely to make grammatical mistakes. For example, tense mistakes. The examiner has asked you to talk about the past tense, but if you make a mistake and talk about present. I would like to tell you something about a place where I went or which I visited a couple of weeks ago. Suppose you are supposed to say this thing, but I would like to tell something about a place which I visit a couple of weeks ago. So if you make a tense mistake, for example, you make concord mistakes, like there are so many people who wants. People itself is plural. There has to be one, but you said once because the examiner looks into a very minor things. They consider each and every mistake that you're likely to make when you speak. They examine, they scrutinize your sentence you speak by strong analysis. Therefore, the sentences that you speak must be grammatically correct and accurate so that you are likely to get better scores. And the types of sentences, what you speak are, whether simple types of sentence, the types of the sentences you speak, whether they are compound sentences or complex sentences, what kind of sentences you are speaking really gonna matter your score. Therefore, you have to consider this aspect very strongly if you want to get better scores. Now, another aspect which is very important is vocabulary aspect. Vocabulary or lexical resource is very important aspect in speaking as well. It's very important for you to show or use wide range of vocabulary. The proof that you possess wide range of vocabularies. For example, if you describe about your hometown, there are many century-old buildings. There are many century-old buildings which are clustered together. Visitors can see the historical building, the century-old historical buildings which are clustered together. Instead of, like I could say, there are 100 years old buildings. There are very, very old buildings which are joined together. I did not say there are buildings which are of 100 years old, joined together. Instead of joined, I said clustered together. Century old buildings. So these kinds of, so you need to show that the speaker possesses a wide range of vocabularies. He is a competent English speaker. You must make sure that. Now, if you want to get better scores in IELTS speaking test, there are a few things that you have to take into account. You need to be more and more confident. When I take mock test, I find a lot of students not having good eye contact with me or with the examiner. They look up, I don't know where they look, or they look down. That means they can't have eye contact with the examiner. This means there's something wrong. So it's very important for you to be confident and friendly, you must be like a friend with your examiner, and have eye contact with the examiner. Okay? You must have very good eye contact with the examiner so that examiner can understand you very easily, that this speaker is a competent English speaker. He has some abilities, he has strong ability to speak English. Next, be just normal, as if you are having a usual conversation, like you have a conversation with a friend, with a relative, with a teacher. So you must show that behavior, that ability to the examiner. Then only examiner will consider you a very strong speaker and give you better score in IELTS. Likewise, be active and excited to answer the questions. For example, the examiner asks you a question, do you go shopping? Okay, you say, I go shopping. No, see, it's not good to answer in a dull way. As soon as you get the answer, you must be more excited to answer the question to the examiner. Yeah, I do. I go to shopping a lot. I usually go to Butwal for buying the things which I need for my home. Butwal is a very popular supermarket where you can get almost everything we want. This is a big supermarket. Yeah. So this way you have to respond to the questions more excitedly. Then the examiner likes you and he understands you that you are a competent English speaker. You possess good proficiency of English speaking, right? Therefore, students, if you really want to be better at English speaking, or if you want to really build your English proficiency, then you need to invest you need to involve yourself in English practice through different platforms. Now, guys, you're very lucky that you have different social platforms. You have different podcasts, English podcasts, which you can, get help from. It's not that in our time, it was really very difficult to improve our English. Books, either the books or the teachers were only the sources of our English improvement. But now you can find a lot of social platforms through which you can improve your English proficiency. I hope you will follow my tips of English speaking part 1, and you will keep on watching my English videos so that you will learn a lot of things from my video. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best for your Ielts test.